Hi, Therese.
Hello, Ellen. Thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you for joining our Meet the Artist interview series. So, I'm starting everyone out with the same question, which is how old were you when you started dancing? But with you, I feel like we have to start by saying, I think you're now Smuin's longest tenured dancer.
I am.
So
Yes.
this is your
Time.
13th season?
13th season.
Okay.
It doesn't feel that long. Time flies, I guess, when you're having fun. And I still feel very young. So,
Well, I mean, you are, so that's why. Does This season is obviously quite different from the
Mhm.
previous 12. Is there
Yes.
stuff you're looking forward to or excited about anyway?
Yeah, this season is different in the sense of we no longer can perform in theaters. And so the art has never stopped. And I think that has been really refreshing during this time. I think that what I'm excited about the most is the fact that they hired John Speed Orr, my husband, for the season because we can safely work together and touch one another, which is really fun because, I was 22 years old and he was 21 when we were first paired together when he joined the company. And so now we're more mature artists. We're extremely comfortable with one another, and there's a safety factor. So I think good things will come with that. And also the fact that now that we're doing, we're going to be doing more digital, and so it's Smuin and the performing arts is more accessible, which I really love. Getting a chance to kind of broaden our audience base and meet new patrons, even though it's through a screen, and hopefully we'll see them, soon when we're back in the theaters.
Okay, so now I can say, how old were you when you started and why did you start?
Okay, so I was 3 years old when I started. I had a lot of energy when I was a little girl, and I was always already dancing on my tippy toes in the kitchen and stuff. So my mom put me in, a 45-minute dance class where I did, a little bit of ballet, a little bit of tumbling, and some tap, which was very silly. And then I I saw Cinderella with my father, and I said, all I want to do is ballet. I was just obsessed with ballet and the image of dancing on point. And I worked and worked and worked and to achieve a potential career, which crazy enough happened. So and then as the years progressed, I became more into how do you take this ballet base and bring it into the contemporary world.
So what point did you know you wanted to do it professionally? Like
I
how old were you maybe?
I was about 13 when I was like, this is my chance to truly study and work to make it happen. And it really was my top priority. After school, I'd go, to all of my dance lessons, and then I eventually started getting accepted into these, world-renowned schools. And so that was kind of a light bulb switch to be like, oh, it gave me the confidence to know that I could achieve this.
So I know that ultimately you trained at SAB, School of American Ballet, which is
Mm-hmm.
I think probably the top school in the country, definitely in the top few.
Yeah.
But I also know that you grew up in Hudson Valley. So you're like near there. Were you commuting? Were you residential? How did that work?
Yeah, so I auditioned for the School of American Ballet when I was 15 years old for the year-round program. it was the second day of my sophomore year when Kay Mazzo, the director of the school, called my mother and said, you need to pull her out of the school right now. We want her in level C1, which is the start of the advanced level, which means you have, you know, a 10:30 ballet class. And so in terms of my academics and ballet, they put me into the dormitory there, which was it's the Juilliard dorms in Lincoln Center.
Very nice.
Yeah, so it was great. And yeah, so I lived there, and then my parents said the only way, you know, we support you, but every weekend you have to come home. And so I would get on, you know, the Metro Line Express to Poughkeepsie, New York, and every Friday night I'd go and spend the weekend with my parents, and then they'd throw me back on the train, and then I'd start my week off again. So that was how it went.
So SAB is the official school of New York City Ballet.
Yes.
And I am assuming that it's like every student's dream there to get into New York City Ballet.
Yes.
But I could be wrong. I don't know. So how, like, that you didn't go that route? Do you feel like you miss your Balanchine fix? Do you feel like you got enough while you were there?
Yeah, I was the rare student that didn't expect to get into the company, and that was never my personal goal. Just for how I know, you know, the company tends to be really tall and long, and I'm a little, you know, compact athlete. But yeah, there are some ballets that I truly, truly miss. And some of my ultimate favorites, Western Symphony, Concerto Barocco, Serenade. But I do feel like when I was at the school, I did it, you know, and then I was ready to take that technique and use it with other choreographers.
That's actually something I was wondering. Do you feel like the Balanchine training was helpful in the other work you've done?
Definitely. It's, you know, it's super, super musical. It's very quick and ahead of the music. You know, they say, you know, the Balanchine technique is very American. And I think that the musicality aspect of it, and yeah, and just like the quick, you know, footwork, and that has definitely helped pick up choreography. Yeah, so definitely.
Okay. And then you're teaching in Smuin's online class program.
I am.
Do you feel that you carry stuff over from what you learned training there into your teaching?
Definitely. There are definitely little nuances that I like to bring into my class.
So it stuck with you.
It did. I hope people enjoy it, you know.
So I feel like you're very lucky and somewhat unusual because you haven't really had to jump around too much in terms of places. You went to State Street Ballet for a few years. Was that right out of SAB?
That was.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's very fortunate.
Yes, and I know. That does not happen often. And for me, it was either, you know, my parents were like, you're either going to college or you're getting a job. And I wanted a job so badly. And I happened to get one. And it was a smaller company, but it was perfect for what I needed at 17, 18 years old. So yeah. And so, you know, when I was in Santa Barbara, it was great. You know, I worked with choreographers like Robert Battle, who's now the artistic director of Alvin Ailey. And I had a lot of opportunity there, but I wanted more performing, and I wanted a city vibe. The Santa Barbara lifestyle, as much as it's perfection, it was just a little too chill for me.
From New York too.
Yeah, especially coming right from the city.
Did Smuin find you? Did you find Smuin?
So there was a choreographer who worked quite a bit with Michael Smuin, Robert Sund, and he came to choreograph one of his ballets called Band down in Santa Barbara, and that was right at the time after Michael's passing, where, you know, quite a few dancers were leaving. And so Robert, you know, when he met me, he just said, you would be perfect for this company. I'm going to put a good word in for you. Drive up like tomorrow and go and take class. And I did. And I took one class in the studio and one class on stage. And, you know, I had a few friends in the company at the time. And so I had, you know, everyone was kind of rooting for me, and met Celia and got the job. And I was quite green, but 13 years later, it's interesting because it's easy to get, you know, kind of stuck in a place and kind of in a rut for that amount of time. But I feel like we've been able to do so many different works but by choreographers that I never even dreamt of, you know, doing pieces by. They kept it so fresh and so interesting. And so I've always been pushed. And so that's a reason why I've stayed. You know, I want to continue. Our career is super short, and I want to continue pushing for as long as I can. So.
Well, you've definitely stayed creative during the last several months.
Yeah.
I know you've been doing a lot of indigo dyeing.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of, you've made dance films with John.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to elaborate on either of those or anything else?
Yeah. So week one of Shelter in Place, I really got into the dyeing. You know, I had this box of indigo dye, and I had all of the, you know, the materials to potentially do this, but not the time. And finally I had a lot of time, too much time, and I just started dyeing everything. But with John Elliott, our friend, and I's little short films, we call them Shelter in Pace, for, you know, John and I on the movement side of it, it was a challenge, obviously, because you're in a tiny confined space. And then for Elliot, he's usually behind the camera. And so it was a neat process to see, you know, how he gives us direction to film, and then to see him translate what we did and turn it into, you know, these quirky little short stories. So that was really fun. And we got, you know, such a great response, because we were kind of at the forefront of all of this, because we were like, no, we have to continue. So we did, and it was just really great for our friendship and for our, you know, minds and souls. And yeah,
that's awesome. Well, they are wonderful.
Thank you.
I have enjoyed all of them.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so pivoting slightly, to use the popular word of the moment, I want to ask you about the LEAP program, because you colleged during all of this time. So you have a BFA, right, from St. Mary's College through the LEAP program. So tell us about this.
Yeah, so the LEAP program was great because it's geared for professional artists who don't necessarily have the time to go and do a full, you know, academic year or 4 years. So it was a timely process. I think it took me about 7 years to complete my degree, taking a class every Sunday. You know, we had a professor meet us in the city, and then we would go to the campus a few times, but it was really accommodating to our schedules. And And then once I got the hang of it, then I started to do, you know, more online classes in City College and chipped away. But it was great. I mean, I had some really lovely professors. I learned how to be a better writer and speaker, and yeah, it was a positive experience, and it will be interesting to see where I can use this degree, you know, post dance career. So
you also are involved in some volunteering, I believe.
mm-hmm. Yes.
And remind me the name of that program. It's through Byright?
Mm-hmm. So it's through the Byright organization, which is an incredible grocery store in San Francisco on 18th Street. But what is really cool about what they do is they have a program called Cooking Matters, and which, you know, gives lower, you know, income families a chance to, you know, learn how to cook healthy and in a way that's sustainable to them. And they also, you know, they teach young kids cooking and just getting the skills of survival, basically. So yes, I volunteer at 18 Reasons, which is their cooking school. And we do more adult driven classes, and it's lovely. It's a lot of, you meet, you know, you're definitely a part of the community. I think I might be the only dancer, but there are about 100 volunteers that, you know, cycle in and out, and it's really great because I'm learning, you know, knife skills and different things that I can take home with me. And then at the end of the night, we get to, you know, a beautiful meal shared with, you know, the classmates, and it's really cool.
And so wait, do you feel like you've become a better cook?
Yeah.
Or were you already a good cook?
I love to cook.
Okay.
You know, I grew up in the kitchen with my grandmother and mom, and so I've always kind of had a knack. I also love to eat, so I just yeah. But no, I've learned a lot. It definitely it makes, yeah, I'm more comfortable with how a, you know, a kitchen works and the flow of creating a meal.
Okay, last question. You can pick to go toward the past or toward the future. Do you have a favorite ballet that you have danced or choreographer you've worked with? Or do you have a dream ballet to dance or choreographer to work with?
Okay. Well, I'm going to answer both.
Okay.
So definitely a favorite ballet that I've done has been Jiří Kylián's Petite Mort, hands down. That was always a dream of mine to do. So to be able to dance that on stage I've never felt that feeling ever. It was crazy. And then favorite choreographer, I love Val Caniparoli. I just love him. He's so fun and funny, and he just gets the best thing out of his dancers. You know, he's wonderful. He pushes you to your limit. And so doing the creation of If I Were a Sushi Roll was really, really special, and working on a more serious, mature role was different than what I'm usually given. So I was able to really, he helped me like mold and craft what that story would be. And so getting that one-on-one with him was really special. And then dream in the future, I mean, I would love to work with William Forsythe at some point, you know, or in my dreams. But yeah, I love all of his pieces. And again, he's neoclassical, and he just has, you know, the dancers do all sorts of insane things. And so it was really great working with Helen Pickett, because she, you know, she knows him very well, and she is very much inspired and driven by her work, is driven by him. So in a sense, I feel like I've kind of worked with him. But yeah, doing, you know, in the middle, somewhere elevated, or one of those. It would be great.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're all done. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much. Great. Such a blast.